Hello everybody, this is Charles Calhoun, aka the Shade Tree Pro. This morning, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about, from what I discovered, the real true cause and effect of why people lose their golf swings. Now, it's interesting, but before I do that, I want to give definitely a shout out to Steph Curry. I like what he's doing. One of my best buddies is a graduate of Howard, and like I said, it's better to put forth any kind of effort, whether that is a failing effort or not. It doesn't matter. The point is that you're putting forth an effort, and that's better than not putting forth any effort at all. So I definitely want to commend him on that. As well as I say, usually I have my Under Armour shirt on. He's sponsored by Under Armour in a sense, so we'll work on that as it goes. But let's talk about the cause and effects in the golf swing. I have a theory that I use in the golf swing that it's called the screen door effect. Now, any of y'all growing up in the country, you're very familiar with the screen doors. They're out there, and you have heard your mama yell, "Hey, shut that screen door." Well, let's think about it like this. When you first get that screen door, and it's like, say you've got a new one put on. When you first get it, that thing just opens and closes, just pretty, goes right into the latch, just perfect, especially if you put it on there right. It just opens and closes, not a problem. You're running in and out like a kid, like it's no big deal. But then over time, what begins to happen is that all of a sudden now, instead of that door just shutting and closing with simplicity, all of a sudden it starts lagging a little bit. Starts kind of staying open a little bit. And then all of a sudden you got to push a little force on it to get it closed. And then the more it keeps opening and opening and opening, the more that it takes effort in a sense to close it. Because what's happening over here, the hinges, whether they're getting wore out, whether the mechanism at the top is getting wore out, we don't know. But all of a sudden, the whole entire concept of it begins to change. You have to put effort to close it down. So then what happens there is the same as I use that philosophy in the golf swing. So why do I call it the screen door effect? Here's why. When we first start the golf swing, we first set up, hit balls, whatever the deal is, we first learn. We're setting up, we're nice and pretty, we're in our setup, everything's balanced, perfect setup. And especially with a lot of these tour players and these guys, these can't misses that are starting to miss, they're losing their swing. What happened is we learn how to get to our left side. We pivot to our left side, and a lot of us do that till we're blue in the face. We learn how to get to our left side, and we get there. There's no question about that. But the thing is that we get there, but in the same sense, we're starting to build this muscle up. These big hip flexors, glute muscles, thigh muscles, these things in this left side, they're getting stronger to where we're thinking that is an asset. But let me show you where it leads to my philosophy of, or the screen door effect. What happens, because as I said, it happened to me, and I've got the medical bills to prove it. But what happens is this, is that eventually, and that's why I'm on the side view, eventually, the more that we just keep focusing on getting over to our left side, pivoting the right side around the left, pivoting the right side around the left, eventually, as this gets stronger, this slowly starts protruding out. The right side slowly starts protruding out. And the more and more we do it, it protrudes out even more. Because like I said, this is getting stronger and it's really pulling it around now. So then once it gets it protruded out, and we can feel it. It's something you do feel, and many people have felt it because you see them setting up a little bit sideways like this to the degree. Then all of a sudden what happens is that once we feel that, then we start trying to force ourselves to get this right side to go back. You see, we're starting to force it to go back. And so once we kind of force it to go back, now it creates a conflict because this strong left side here actually wants to pull this way, where in essence this wants to go this way. So now it's like almost like a tug of war, to where you can't get that feeling or that sensation of getting to where the hips feel like they're somewhat square, so you get in a proper posture. So then what happens? What do we do? Because we're not thinking about that, because now we've decided, oh, we can get to our left side with no problem. But the problem that we start looking at is like, oh, it's got to be in my arms. It's got to be in my grip. So then all we start doing now, because if this comes out, then this is coming out and the arms are coming out. So now we start making compensations with the shoulders. Whether we start getting here, whether we get our grip a little bit stronger. All these things lead to those type of compensations. And once we lead to that one compensation, then we got to make another compensation. Now all of a sudden, you know, we're forcing this action, we're jumping up off the ground. All of that simply because this side has strengthened up so much that now it's pulling it around, it wants to be back, it's making the right side protrude out, and then as I said, the compensations begin. So the best way, as I did my video about Jordan Spieth and the lower body, the best way to understand how to get away, as I said in that one video, you can't go from the right side to the left side without going through the middle. So in every golf swing, to avoid, to keep the hips balanced with the pelvis, is that you have to use the right side to move the middle to get to the left. And that's what kind of balances out, because now the right side has the middle to get over to the left. Now it stays in balance in a sense, to where it's not really getting overworked in a sense, where it's growing, getting stronger. Now it's all of a sudden throwing you out. Now I know many people think that the golf swing is basically coming around in a sense. You know, can you play that way? I guess you can in a sense, but you know, why make it harder than what it really needs to be if you understand that the right side moves the middle to get to the left? It makes the golf swing a lot simpler to understand. But again, like I said, is whether it's Tiger, whether it's a lot of these other guys you see that's losing them, in my personal experience, and as I said, I have the medical bills to prove it, is that using my screen door analogy, is that once this right side starts coming out, because these muscles have gotten a lot stronger than the right side, then all of a sudden the entire swing start coming out. And some people wonder, like, why did I hit that off the hosel? Well, if this comes out, this is coming out, and the hosel is coming in. That's just all there is to that. So once you understand how to make sure that you do not make this lead side way stronger than this trail side, then the body will naturally stay in balance. And that's why the importance of to have lateral motion in your golf swing is just it. You can't get away from it. You have to have lateral motion because we have a middle. So once again, when you understand and get the analogy of my, as I said, the screen door effect, to where the more I keep trying to put pressure here, the more this muscle develops, the glutes, hip flexors and all these muscles, all it's doing is making this start to come out, making the right side come out. And if the right side comes out, the right chest comes out, the right shoulder comes out, and if the club comes out, the hosel comes into play. We need to learn how to feel the effects of keeping it down the line to where we can get to the ball and we get there. That's why I said, and I always will say, and I will always argue, the golf swing does not start from the ground up. The golf swing starts from the top down. As I said in previous videos, the only way that the lower body moves, it gets its signal, because we are making a golf swing, it gets its signals from the top to tell the lower body to move so we can come through. We do not use the lower body to turn, to, in essence or whatever, to make the upper body move. We move the lower body in a sense because we get a signal from the top to tell that, because remember, we're making a golf swing. So the signal from the top tells the arms, say, hey, look, whether you call it the mind, brain, thinking, whatever it is, it tells it to say, hey, look, you know, you need to tell the lower body to get out of the way. So the lower body gets this signal from the upper body to know exactly where it needs to go lateral motion, so the arms can come down and strike the ball. So give that a try, check it out. I don't care who you are, what you are, I don't care what level you're on. I rather you're big time pros, lost their swing, unequivocally, without question. The understanding the screen door effect, you will see instantly if you've been coming out just a little bit too much. And this high hip and all, like I said, and the chiropractors and all the different doctors I went to see, the physical therapy that I had to get for this hip, which was at one time up here, it was crazy. I even had to drop out a US Open qualifier because of that. Once you get that to where now it's moving level, and just think about it, if it's moving level, moving the pelvis over as it should, don't you think it would be much simpler in a sense for the arms to swing the way they're supposed to do naturally without having to make all the compensations? Charles Calhoun, aka the Shade Tree Pro, and always good golfing.